Desertion in the American Navy was punishable by death. When the ship's captain decided that a sailor was no longer worth keeping, he could send him ashore, or turn him over to the local authorities for a trial and hanging. It was a simple enough matter to fill out a form on the ship's log and hand it to the man to read and sign. But Captain Wilkes of the Us Vincents was not a man who did things casually or lightly. He decided to make an example of one man. He'd been watching the man, a young sailor named Charles Irvine, since his first day aboard, and had been unable to determine his character. Irvine had been polite and eager to please, but there was something else there as well. The young man was never still. He was always pacing, or sitting and staring at nothing in particular, but always moving. And he was very nervous about being around the guns on the main deck of the ship. "I think you're a coward," Wilkes told him bluntly. "And I don't like cowards. I want you off the ship." He ordered Irvine into his cabin and told the Marine guard outside to stand down. Then he went into his own stateroom and pulled a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses from a locker. He poured 2 generous shots and handed one to Irvine. "Drink?" The young man did so. Wilkes sipped his drink. "You've been a problem ever since I met you," he told Irvine. "I can't seem to figure out what it is that bothers me about you." Irvine looked puzzled. "Sir?" Wilkes nodded to the bottle. "Pour yourself another." Irvine obeyed and glanced at him warily. "Pour yourself another and drink it," Wilkes repeated. "Then tell me what bothers me about you." Irvine did as he was ordered, and as he finished his second shot, he found himself beginning to relax and his anxiety about being near the guns faded away. "I don't understand what you mean, sir." "That's right," Wilkes agreed. "You don't understand." He reached into a desk drawer and pulled out a sheet of paper. He put it in front of Irvine and watched as the young man's eye scanned it quickly. "What is this?" Irvine asked. "Your death warrant," Wilkes replied. "I intend to have you executed." He watched as the realization dawned on Irvine's face. Then he picked up the glass that held the second shot of whiskey and emptied it down his throat. Then he handed it to the captain. Wilkes sat down and watched as the young man poured himself another shot. He set the bottle down beside the death warrant and waited until the liquor was gone before speaking again. "I intend to have you court-martialed for desertion. I will have the charges reduced to a minor offense and sentence you to a few years of hard labor in a penal colony. There is no trial, so there will be no need for a jury or any of the formalities that are required by the laws of the United States Navy. Do you understand what I'm telling you?" Irvine nodded silently. "Do you know who I am?" Another nod. "I'm Captain James Wilkes of the United States Navy. I'm an officer of the law, and I intend to enforce my laws. Do you understand me?" Irvine nodded again. "Yes, sir," he said softly. Wilkes looked down at the paper and scrawled his signature across the bottom line. "There," he said, pushing it across the desk to Irvine. "Sign your name and affix your thumbprint." Aye, sir," Irvine replied and did as he was instructed. Then he stood up and saluted. "Thank you, sir," he said with quiet dignity, and walked out the door. Wilkes sat for a moment, staring down at the paper and thinking about how much he didn't like Charles Irvine. But he was just the sort of man he liked to have around him. A strong-willed, dedicated officer who was willing to do whatever needed to be done. If he was forced to hang Irvine, he would have the satisfaction of knowing that the young man had chosen his fate willingly, without pleading for clemency. And if he were lucky, Irvine would die without revealing the nature of his mission. That would make things a little easier.